Hello, welcome to Learning to Drum. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin. We're in episode 38, week 41. And last week we learned a new rudiment, which was the flamadiddle, which we're going to review today. And also we started getting our feel for cut time and what that's all about. So we're going to do study number 19 this week. And welcome back. If this is, of course, your first time watching, go back to episode 1. So without further ado, let's go ahead and review the flamadiddle. And last week we started it at 40, and I'll go ahead and do it at 40. Then we'll do 50, and then 60. Remember, the test goal is going to be at 70 beats per minute. Don't let that limit you, though, okay? Go on faster if you can. Sky's the limit when it comes to speed, okay? All right, there's our 40 beats per minute. Flam, left, right, right. Flam, right, left, right. Okay, here we go. 2. Ready, and play E, and flam, left, right, right. Right? Remember to try to keep those flams as consistent as possible, and that'll be a hard thing to do. Now let's try it at 50. Hopefully you can hang with that. Here we go. 1 E and 2 left, right, right, ready, and play E and right? 2, ready, stop. All right, there it is at 50 and now at 60. And if you can't hang at 60 just yet, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just catch up. You can push pause right now if you wanted to. No big deal. All right. There's 60. Huh? Flam left, right, right, right? 2 and ready and go E and Okay, how did you do on that? All right, that's 60 beats. That's 10 beats per minute slower than our test goal. Do you want to hear it at 70 again? You don't have to play, just so you can hear it. Here I go. Ready, and go. And. Okay, and you can see that there's a certain flow to this rudiment, right? We talked about the flow of each rudiment. Well, it's kind of like the paradiddle, the flow of the paradiddle, right? You know, and I just add my flams in there. All right, so keep that in mind as you're gaining speed. These are kind of like one movements, okay, that contains a series of movements, if that makes sense. So that's the flamadiddle in our review, and now we're going to not go to study number 19 just yet, but we are going to test. Yes, test single drag taps. Those aren't too bad. Those are actually a really fun rudiment. Remember that our goal was at 100 beats per minute using the triplets, and we'll just dial our metronome up to 80 using the triplets, right? And then we'll go to 90 and then our test goal, okay? So here we go. Remember the single drag tap, did you forget it? Hopefully not, because again, you want to practice all these rudiments, and as a matter of fact, you already know 12 rudiments. Yeah, after you learn the flamadiddle, that was 12 rudiments. Actually 13 if you want to include the multiple bounce roll or the concert roll. So 12 rudiments, wow, that's great, huh? All right, so single drag tap, remember? Okay, all right, here we go at 80. And remember? Here we go. 2, 1, 2, here we go, and. Okay, how did you do on that? Hopefully did okay. It's not too bad. If you're getting used to your drags, and you remember the double beat really helps you out with those drags and all that kind of good stuff. All right, now we're going to go up to 90. Okay, 1, 2, da-da-da-da-2, here we go. All right. No big deal. Hopefully our folks are at least up to that point. If not, that's okay, because we're taking it at your pace, remember? So here's our test tempo at 100. If you can't hang, that's okay, but This is what it's going to sound like, and if you can join us, please do. Tick-a-da-da, right? 2, test 2, here we go. Okay, that's a fun one. That's a fun one to do. You can even reverse it and start it with the accent. That takes on a new meaning, right? Okay, so play around with that. If you didn't get to the 100 beats per minute, that's okay. It's just a guide, you know, for everyone to kind of, okay, let's try for 100. If you can go up 120 or 130 or even more than that, that's better for you, right? So that is the test on the single drag tap, and now we're going to go to page 43 there for study number 19. And there, we're going to get a little bit more complex in our rhythms, okay? We're adding eighth notes to the picture. We're also adding triplet eighth notes to the picture. And remember, we're cutting the note in half, right? So those eighth notes become 16th notes. We count them as 1E and a 2E and a, just like regular 16th notes. And then also the triplet eighth notes, 1 tita and tita. And number 7, take a look there. You also have what are called quarter note triplets. We haven't talked about that. But quarter note triplets actually fit inside 2 beats. So if I were to, okay, good teacher, percussion teacher, Michael Ferris here in St. Louis told me a really good easy way to remember quarter note triplets. So you can count them as 1 is of, 2 is of. So you'll hear that. Ready? 1 is of, 2 is of, 1 is of, 2 is of, 1 is. Okay, it's a little weird. But if you think about it, if I were to take off every other quarter note and just have it on the 1 and 3, you'll see I'm meeting on the 1 and the 3, right? 3, 4. Okay? All right, so those are quarter note triplets. We'll get up to that part in number 7, so don't worry about it just yet. Okay, now for number 1, this is going to be counted 1 and 2E and a 1 and 2E and a 1 and 2E and etc. Okay, and yes, we are going to do the repeats, and as far as the sticking, you remember last week I just kind of, whatever you want. If you want to challenge yourself and lead with the left hand, you're more than welcome to. I personally, in live performances or even rehearsals, I don't do this to myself. I just want to play it what sounds the best and the easiest way to play it, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and drop our metronome down to 70 beats per minute and get my 16 notes up there. And I'm switching my beat value to 1 of every 2, right? Because we're in 2. Cut time is felt like is it in 2/4 time, right? We talked about that last week. Okay, so here we go for number 1. 2, 1, and 2 and a, right? Here we go for number 1. We are going to take the repeat, okay? 1 and 2, and here we go. E and a 1 and 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and repeat. 2 and a 1 and 2 and a. Okay, no big deal. Now number 2, we've seen these rhythmical cells back to back before if you look at that last measure in 2/4 time. All right, so let's try number 2. 2, 1 and 2 and a ready and go. And 1 and a 2 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 and. Okay, I'm doing that in the natural sticking, right? Not alternate sticking. So again, I try to do it as the easiest way I can. You know, that sounds the best, of course. All right, number 3, 1 and a 2, 1 and a 2. No big deal, right? You've seen this before there in 2/4 time. Here we go for number 3, 2. Here we go, and 1 and a 2 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 and 1 and a 2. 1 and a 2 and 1 and a 2. All right. Not too bad. Now number 4 is going to get a little tricky because we're coming on the end of 1, and that's going to throw us off a little bit. But remember how we took this back in our previous exercises in rhythm, and we would feel that 1 on the inside, that 8th note rest on the inside to kick us off on the end, okay? So 1 and a 2 and. Okay. We go for number 4. 1 and 2 and here we go. And a 1 and a 2 and 1 and a 2 and 1. 1. 1. 1. 1 and a 2 and. All right. So not too big of a deal. All right, number 5 is a little bit more trickier, right? We're going to feel the 1 and the 3, or technically the 1 and the 2, right? On the inside. And that way we can kick ourselves off on the E and an Now, number 5, well, I'll tell you about it after we play it. So let's just try it. E and E and okay? 1, 2, and ready, and go, E and 1. And again, I'm doing natural sticking, so you notice my left hand didn't stop there. What was I talking about? Oh, I'll show you after we do it. Now, if you turn to the previous page, you don't really have to, but if you think about it, number 5, E and then number 8, and study number 18, and 2 and 2 and. Now, audibly, that kind of sounds the same, right? And hopefully you're recognizing some of these rhythms are somewhat the same. And what I mean by somewhat the same, they sound the same. There's no difference in that. But as far as the value, of course, is different. And that's why I say somewhat the same. All right, so that's the wonderful thing about rhythm. It's so complex, but yet so simple. And so I just wanted to point that out to you. Okay, now for number 6, and it's going to get a little bit more trickier, right? Because we're E and E, E and E, and we can see that equivalent 2/4 bar right there at the very end. Let's try number 6. It's going to be a little difficult, but with your experience with the previous rhythms and everything like that, I think you should just do fine. Okay? E and E, E and here we go. 1 and 2 and ready and go, E and Okay, it's a little tricky, but if you feel that downbeat of 1 and the downbeat of 2, that'll kick yourself off on the E's and the U's there. Okay, now for number 7, and this is where we talked about earlier with the quarter note triplets. Just think, and I'll take off my 16th notes there so you can just hear the quarter note. It's not going to be that big of a deal. However, you are going to read quarter note triplets, I'm sure, at some point down the road, so I wanted those to be exposed to you. All right, we're going to try that together. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. No big deal, right? Here we go for number 7. Ready, go. Triplet 2. Repeat. Okay, no big deal there, right? Okay, and you can see the equivalent 2/4 bar there at the end, and it's easy peasy, right? Okay, now this next one gives you an idea on how we're using triplet 8th notes in cut time, and they're treated as triplet 16th notes. You can see the equivalent there. 1 anti-tattoo and 1 anti-tattoo, and I can do it that time. So can't trust me on all the times to count that way, but I did it that time. That's okay. So I'm going to dial up my 8th notes again so you can hear that common denominator, right? I like playing my triplet 16th notes off the 8th note just so I know where I'm landing at. Just kind of like I like playing my, well, in this case scenario, quarter note triplets, but in a 4/4 time or 2/4 time, 3/4 time, I like to play my triplets and line them up with that quarter note. Here we go for number 8. 1, da 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 da, 1, anti-tattoo, and here we go. 2, and together, and play, and. There it is. All right, so that is study number 19. Pad's kind of acting up on me. And that's all we have for this week on the flamadiddles and all the other rudiments that you've learned. Remember, you know 12 rudiments. And if you didn't get there on the single drag taps at 100, don't worry about it. Just try to do the best you can. That's all you can do, is just do the best you can. And it might be different than somebody else. Maybe somebody else can get it easier or quicker than you can. Well, don't feel bad about that. Everybody has their own time and place, and there really is no comparisons when you have to really compare it to your own ability, not someone else's ability, right? So don't feel bad if you're not getting there, okay? So next week, we're going to go ahead and get into solo number 8 if you want to take a look at that. It is in cut time, and we'll talk about one of the most famous American composers. That's from the United States, that is, and also what he's very popular for. So, well, that's all we have for this week on Learning to Drum. I'm your host, Adam Tevlin, and always remember to keep swinging those sticks.